All right, if we're all set to go, welcome everybody to a press conference that we meant to have a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm glad we're able to fit it in today despite the snow, and to be with the spirit of the time we arranged for this appropriate backdrop for today's other event. We're here today to talk about jobs. Jobs in general is my #1 priority as mayor. It has to be. It always has been. A good job gives the ability of its holder to put food on the table for his or her family, to buy and own a home, improve a home, to send a child to college, and otherwise pursue the American dream. And it's not just to grow jobs in one particular part of the city, it's to grow jobs throughout the city. And we do that in a number of ways, but today we are marking an important moment through careful planning and reliable partnering with business. For the first time in a generation, we can proclaim today that the north end of the city has reemerged as a center for employment in greater New Bedford. We have, through the efforts of mostly business, but a steady hand of government assistance, been able to grow jobs in this area at a very rapid pace, not only among existing companies, but also new companies, including the one whose facility you are standing in today. We grow jobs in this city by taking the right general approach, and that's to have a city government that is transparent in all its dealings, that's reliable, that partners well with business, that seeks to understand the needs of business and works cooperatively with business, and at all times with the interests of the city at heart. Our strategy has always been to build on the city's many assets. We have many, many assets in New Bedford, starting with our deep-water diversified port, which is the home of the #1 fishing fleet in America, and the home in the years to come of the nation's first offshore wind port. It is also will be a home to many other industries in the years ahead as we continue to plan. We have a vibrant and walkable downtown that is the center of a high quality of life, the basis of a high quality of life in our city. We build on that. Here in the north end, there are specific assets that we have capitalized on, and so those include many things. It includes the riverfront, which is just on the other side of the street. There's an old saying that God's not making any more waterfront property. It's true in New Bedford, it's true everywhere else. We want to take advantage of that asset. People like to be near the water, whether as residents or employers. We have beautiful historic mills, including the one that you're in now, that need to be preserved and need to be seen as not only as part of potential employment facilities, but also as part of the historic fabric of the city. The north end, especially the lower north end here, has great highway access. We have here a very walkable neighborhood that is densely populated with mostly former tenement housing, but now many varieties of housing, including the restored mills across the street. And we have access to commercial areas. Now, the growing area around Riverside Landing, as well as the well-established Acushnet Avenue. All of this effort takes time, but what you will, for all of it to fall in place, and the pieces are being put in place now, will continue to be put in place in the years to come, but we can celebrate now that the approach is working. We have seen in the last couple of years the growth of over 300 jobs and $85 million of new investment. We've preserved historic places, and we have seen a new vibrancy in the North End that literally has not existed in many, many years. This is true not only of this immediate area, which we'll go into detail, our speakers will go into some detail about, but also, again, the Riverside Landing area, and we're knitting all these things together. the pieces are being put in place, and there are more to come. The harbor cleanup represents an enormous opportunity for our city to fully capitalize on our harbor as an asset. We have close to $400 million coming into the city in the years ahead to clean up our harbor and to really allow the harbor to take shape and to raise the value of properties all around, the value not only to residents but also to prospective employers. So with all that today, this is all good news, and there are many folks to credit along the way, and I can't name them all. First and foremost, it's the work of the private sector that matters most, but they cannot do it alone, especially at the local level. Municipal officials and arms of city government play an enormous role, and chief among them is the Economic Development Council. I will introduce Tony Sapienza, the president of the MBEDC, in a moment, but I just wanted to note right up front and to acknowledge the great work of the MBEDC team, which is many of whom are here today. Derek Santos, the acting executive director, Deborah Trombley, as well, the controller, as well as Angela Johnson, who wears many, many hats at the MBEDC, and everyone else who has contributed to the cause of advancing New Bedford as a place where business can be done and done successfully. New Bedford is open for business. This is a place where people, businesses need to know they can make money by capitalizing on real physical assets, as well as a highly reliable, hardworking workforce. And we're making it happen. We're putting all these things together. It couldn't be done without the leader of the MBEDC, Tony Sapienza. Tony is an enormously successful executive in his own right, Joseph Abboud company, which he has headed for many years now, as one of the premier suit makers in the United States. I think I'm wearing, yep, wearing one of them now. I think this one might need to be let out a little bit after the holiday treats, Tony, but Joseph Abboud makes us proud. It's a great company that makes a great product, manufactures in the United States and right here in New Bedford, and is successful because of the great leadership that Tony supplies, but also because of the very reliable, highly skilled workforce that we have to offer. Tony helps out, and Tony leads in many other ways beyond Joseph Abboud in both formal and informal ways, not just as the head of the MBEDC, but also through his guidance to me, in particular on business matters and workforce development matters. Tony is always there, always standing up for the community, and I am, as the mayor, I'm lucky to have someone like Tony stand shoulder to shoulder with me on the big matters of the day before our city. So Tony, thank you for all that you do, and I would ask you to come up and say a few words about developments here in the North End.
It's a pleasure to be here and to welcome you to the UpSource space. UpSource is our tenant in this building, and Joseph Abboud Manufacturing does in fact own this entire building, and is an example of the kind of development that the mayor is referring to when UpSource moved here. We partnered with them and with the EDC in order to make this really wonderful call center happen. Wearing my EDC hat, I have to compliment the staff as the mayor did, but remind everyone that this whole process of development here in the North End started a number of years ago, back in 2007, when we actually had a community-wide planning event in the cafeteria next door at Joseph Abboud Manufacturing. And over 100 people came. We spent an entire day talking about what was important for the North End: housing, commercial development, riverfront access, and all of those kinds of things. And that planning effort has led to many of the things that have come to pass in the last 5 or 6 years. There were lots of stakeholders involved at that time. City departments were all represented in that planning process, as well as great help from our partners at the state and the Executive Office of Economic Development, Secretary Bilecki at the time, and Mass Development, private foundations have all played a role in providing grant money or seed money for the developments that have taken place here in the North End. the Lincoln Institute, the Garfield Foundation. These are great organizations that have been particularly helpful to us to support the economic development efforts in the city. We've also, as an EDC, we have a very aggressive lending program to try to sort out those places where we can loan money for things that maybe aren't not normally done through the normal banking relationships. And the EDC lending program is a large lending program that's available, and we are open for business in New Bedford. So for those smaller businesses or for catalytic projects like the Riverside, the River Walk project, we've been involved in loaning money to make those things happen. Finally, the cleanup of the river, absolutely important, as the mayor mentioned. $400 million investment over the next few years to finish cleaning up the former Aerovox site and the contamination in the river. Huge opportunity for cultural and recreational activity on the river in the years to come. And with the housing that's been developed along the river, we're particularly excited. On a very personal note, I can speak for my company. You know, we talk about jobs, and the mayor's right. Jobs are really important. Our company was acquired by a larger company this past summer. We've actually added, in the last 5 months, 70 employees. Our workforce now is over 600, and we probably have openings. There's a now hiring sign out on the fence right outside this building, and we're probably looking for another 20 people right now. So the men's suit business is alive and well. The textile and apparel history of New Bedford is certainly well represented by Joseph Abboud Manufacturing. We're very pleased that we're able to continue to provide those kinds of jobs here in the city and to make fine suits in the U.S. of A. For the men in your lives and my lives and everybody else's lives, quite frankly. So thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to be here, Mayor. Thank you for all your support in making this happen.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. And I will note a couple things. This is, as it turns out, probably counter to intuition. This has become a center for textile and apparel manufacturing. Joseph Abboud is doing very well, as you heard from Tony. They have been hiring, and they are seeking to hire more still. We also have had the success of companies like Darnett, which is in the business of repairing imported textiles and apparel from overseas, that is growing right across the street. We also have a company called Mother Freedom, and unfortunately its CEO Jeff Rose couldn't be here today. He was stuck in New York as a result of the snow. However, Mother Freedom has emerged as a custom manufacturer of men's apparel, and it is itself growing very robustly as well and hiring local folks. And the reason that, and if Jeff were here today, he would tell you, the reason why he's here is because of the quality of the labor in this place, in this city. That's what makes it happen. One other company that is in this center right here in the North End, along Riverside Avenue, is UpSource. We're here in part to mark the growth of UpSource, which is a high-tech back office call center which set up shop. We had the ribbon cutting in mid-2012, and they have been growing ever since. We've worked very closely with them on a number of matters, including finding them some parking relief just up the street. And it really is that work was an example of the way that we work hand in glove with business in the city. Lori Beal, who is one of the lead agents at UpSource, I will call up in a second to describe some of the growth that has taken place here. It's a company that is on its way, and it's on its way here in the city. Lori?
I would like to welcome everyone here today on behalf of UpSource. Now, since opening our doors in this location in March of 2012, we have been expanding to meet the customer service needs of our clients. We have recently added 65 new positions to our employee roster, and we do thank the New Bedford Economic Council for their support in this growth. We would also like to thank the city for their support in helping us to expand our parking. Due to our expanding workforce, it is a necessity for us, and they have helped us out along the way. And we are also excited to be a part of the new investment and growth in this area and look forward to the cleanup of the riverfront and also the future investment that they may bring to this area of the city. Thank you.
One of the other components of the development in this part of the North End has been the expansion of the residential offerings. We have, again, some beautiful historic mills that had to be reused somehow. And in the last few years, many of them, not all, but many of them have been converted to housing and to take advantage of, and in so doing, the developers have taken advantage of tax credits at both the federal and the state level to restore historic properties such as these. But what makes it work most of all is that there is value in those properties. They are beautiful structures, sturdy structures, and they're right on the water. And so they work well as residents. And what we're getting now is an even more mixed-use neighborhood that will, in the long run, add to the vibrancy of this place and of the entire city. And one of the lead developers here all along has been the Ricciardi family, and Quentin Ricciardi is here to talk about both the trajectory of his family's development of this area, which also includes the Wamsutta loft conversion from a few years ago, and where things are going. Quentin?
I want to apologize to everyone. Since I'm not better dressed, I actually just came from the job site. But I do want to let you know, Mayor Mitchell and Tony, that I think this is Joseph Abboud, too. Can't find the label right now, but thanks. So I just wanted to touch on a few things as well. Having done business with my family, we've been in business over 50 years in real estate, and we've done business all over eastern Massachusetts. I can honestly say there is no city we have been to, even looked at, that's come even close to New Bedford. Some places you go and there's no coordinated vision. Here, everyone sort of knows which end is up, and they understand the components that are necessary to build a successful and thriving city, and they're doing that now. And those components, as other people have touched on, are basically to create jobs, to encourage business, and to improve resources. And it's no one piece that's going to make a change here. It's all three of those, and they all feed off of each other. What we've been able to do down here, we couldn't have done without the support of the city and of the New Bedford Economic Development Council. Just incredibly supportive. Anything we've needed in order to get the job done, you know, they've helped us through. The New Bedford EDC has given us a loan. In turn, we've hired lots of local labor, and we couldn't have built the products that we built without the local labor force and without the cities being there. They also, the city's been great in applying for grants to redevelop the area. They have master plans for the North End in particular, but other areas of the city which they've been following and have been very carefully put together. And I really can't emphasize enough sort of how much this city has it together. And we would not be here if we didn't think so. And we're just finishing our last building, not our last, but our most recent building, which altogether represents nearly $75 million of development and over 500 units of housing. So we're happy to be here. We wouldn't rather be anywhere else, and it's the people and the vision that have made that come true for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Quentin. If you haven't been in any of Acorn Development's properties, you should take a close look because they are phenomenally executed, and you'll see why that the developments that Quentin and his families has spearheaded over the last few years will be a big part of the resurgence of the North End. Last, I would like to call up my friend Dave Slutz, the CEO of Precise, which is America's leading manufacturer of precision O-rings just up the street. Again, a company that is extraordinarily well led and is served by extraordinarily skillful employees. It's growing too. It's been hiring. and it's happening all here in New Bedford, we're proud to say. And Dave, thank you for all of your leadership, not just of your own company and growing jobs here, but being a indispensable corporate citizen in helping spearhead educational reform in our city, and being a general support of all the things that we're trying to do. Dave?
So I talked to Derek a couple weeks ago about coming here, and said, this is kind of nice. We have a lot of downtown events. We got the industrial park. What about my neighborhood? Now, welcome to my neighborhood. Welcome to you folks, too. I've been here since, well, personally, for 13 and a half years, and one of the things I noticed right away was the public-private partnership actually works in this area between EDC, the mayor's office, up to state level. It's kind of encouraging. I worked in New York State for a number of years. We couldn't get anything done. To your point, things get done here. It's very encouraging. But this neighborhood, it's a great place to work, a great place to live. A lot of my employees actually walk to the office, and we have a payroll of roughly $15 million. Headcount's up 156 from 3 years ago. Like Tony, we're still hiring, and to the mayor's point about the educational piece, we need to have a strong educational availability of future talent, because half my workforce in the next 15 years is going to be retiring. So, but we love being here, and I had a chance to move the industrial park a couple of years back. It was a big investment. I said, this old plant, she may be old, but she's very, very functional. So we're glad we're here. We're glad to have neighbors. There's more vibrancy for the restaurants and everything. Worth noting, too, is we have done some work on the outside of our building, which you folks can all see, but more importantly, inside the plant in the last 4 years, we put $22 million of new equipment into Belleville Avenue. Of all of our payroll, I have 2 people outside of New Bedford. Everybody else works right here. So 354 people are here, 2 are in Detroit, and all the investments right here, too. And we ship to 26 countries. We closed last year's sales at $49.7 million, which is 1.2 billion pieces manufactured down the street on 3 shifts. So we love being here. Again, welcome to the neighborhood, and the public-private partnership is alive and well. We look forward to more future endeavors with the EDC and the mayor's office. Thanks, Mayor.
All right, before I take questions, let me just add one additional thought. It's tempting to chalk up a press event like this one to as being an exercise in patting ourselves on the back and sort of celebrating, what we're trying to do. It isn't about that. It is a way of demonstrating to both those who reside in New Bedford and who view New Bedford from afar, that this is a place that can make things happen. We believe that with this job growth and this investment, people of all walks of life, whether they invest money or they don't, will see New Bedford as a place where opportunity can be activated, where things can occur, where change can happen, positive change. And when we start to instill that confidence in people, more good things will happen. So that's why we are here today, and we appreciate your coverage of the event. Does anybody have any questions? Simone.
I'm hoping you can talk a little bit about Riverside Landing,
Yeah.
how that fits into the general economic
Yep.
development. It was started by the previous administration.
Right.
So how is that continued on as you've come to that?
So that's a key parcel, because it, in many ways, is a signature site for the city. It's very visible from 195. One of the things that we tried to begin to do very early in my administration is make it look good. So we worked very closely with the developer on adding enhancements to the streetscape that would attract people in. We didn't want just another strip mall. We wanted green. We wanted real natural materials. You've seen going up in the last few weeks the brickwork on the sign and the stone wall, things like that make it look good. You'll see lots of tree plantings there. It has to be attractive. I felt very strongly that development had to reflect well on the city of New Bedford. Everybody passes up and down 195. And I think it does, and we've succeeded in that way. That's an area that's going to grow jobs. We have about 35 jobs that have materialized from the St. Anne's expansion, another 70 jobs that will be a part of the retail complex at the corner, and we believe there will be more jobs to come. The next piece, we hope, is to develop the area that lies right along the water, and we're working with the Environmental Protection Agency to see if we can activate that site as well.
Boathouse still gonna happen there?
That is in the plans. That is still part of the plans.
Got
Yeah.
time for that, a execution?
Some of it's gonna turn on the timing of the cleanup. So, obviously, in the midst of a cleanup of the magnitude that we're contemplating right now, it's gonna be hard to do a lot of crewing or other boating in the Northern Harbor. But the boathouse remains in the plans, and we wanna see that happen ultimately. Ariel?
When you talk about the public-private partnership in this area, can you give another example other than the parking for UpSource of advocacies?
Yeah, I mean, Derek could give you a chapter and verse on that, but it's been things like parking, there have been loans, there have been advocacy for historic tax credits, there's been assistance, lots of assistance in permitting, both locally and at the state level. I mean, I think those are probably the general categories, so that's probably about it. There've been I'm trying to think in terms of TIFs. I mean, the TIF for St. Anne's is something that's in the works right now. Tax increment, and the TIF for Darna, tax increment financing agreement.
Work out a deal that makes sense, so that was a big win.
Yeah.
TIFs have been very important. We have a TIF at Joseph Booth a number of years ago, and from that level all the way down to, getting the sidewalks fixed on Belleville Road. I mean, all of those things make an important part of what the city has done to help the development here.
And with all this stuff, again, there is the look of aesthetics really do matter. We want all these things to look good. So that's one of the things we demand a lot from developers. Make it look good. Make it be proud. Make everybody, including yourselves, be proud of what you build here.
Mayor, you might also mention, you talk about private and public partnerships. At the far end of the river, I mean, the Coalition for Buzzards Bay has done a tremendous job with the Acushnet River Sawmill site, and that park will be opening sometime later this spring. So the whole length of the river in the north end is going to be part of a very important cultural, social, recreational activity.
Yeah, and all of that is going to happen in conjunction with the cleanup. So there's a high level of coordination that will, in the next couple of years, be necessary with the Environmental Protection Agency and with NOAA and and the Mass DEP to make sure that we can successfully activate the value that is the riverfront. Again, everybody loves waterfront property for our own reasons, but everybody loves it, and we've got a lot of it here. We want to make sure that there's public access, that it's an visually appealing space, that it's safe, and that it's something that both residents and employers want to be near.
Mayor, you talk
That's-
about, you have some really nice anchors here for future opportunities, future growth. Can you talk at all about the commercial space that is available, or the buildable space that's available in the neighborhood that you're targeting for future growth?
Well, the one that immediately comes to mind is right across the street, which is owned by Joseph Abood, right? The former headquarters of the Nashawina Mills, which most recently was occupied by the Coalition for Buzzards Bay. That's an important site along the river. There's plenty of space. There's empty mill space back behind this building on Conduit Street, and there's plenty of space over by Riverside Landing. There are places to grow and pockets of growth, and those are all properties that we market pretty aggressively to prospective employers. I just give you 3 examples. I'm sure Derek can give you more. All right, everybody, stay warm. Thanks for coming out today. Good to see you all. Thanks, everyone. Happy New Year.